All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we're preparing to get underway for our third stint here for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona here in the C lobby. We are running quite a bit behind schedule, and I do apologize for that. But real quickly, let's go ahead and do a catch-up. On things that have happened in the prior stints thus far. So back during stint 1, things were kind of crazy. Isa Bay went out and dominated early on, led a huge chunk of the race with a big jump start right at the beginning, while Ducky dominated in the GT category. However, when it came to the first round pit stops, Isa decided to go long on pits and ended up losing ground while Larry pitted early and made a humongous move on the outside in turn 1 to take what would be the top spot. It turned out that Ducky would not be able to finish, would end up lagging out near the end of stint 1, and it would be a fight between LMP Flo and Larry B for the stint 1 win. The two of them wouldn't fight on track, but they would fight on different strategies, and in the end it would be LMP Flo that would win that. In the prototype category though, it would be a dominant run for Isa Bay until they ran themselves out of fuel right before making their final stop, and they dropped from first to fourth due to that. Because of that, it ended up being that NWR Origin, who raced his way up from 6th to 2nd in the first 20 minutes of the race, was in position to capitalize and ended up being NWR Origin who would win the first stint in the prototype category. The more interesting thing though, Nizrama had an instant on lap 1, had a spin in the bus stop a little later on, fought all the way up to 3rd, but ended up being 3rd off the back of not making one of their stops. So Nizrama, while they were 3rd at the end, will almost certainly get a distance penalty at the end of that. Very interesting scenario there. But that was the end of stint 1. Nizrama turned that around though in stint 2, as Nizrama and NWR Origin immediately started fighting at the front early on in stint 2. But while they were going 3 wide and splitting GT traffic between them, NWR Origin lagged out, and Nizrama had to not worry at all about competition for the rest of the run. Things got a little bit more interesting farther back though, because Shung Jogs along with Muff and Steele were all fighting for 3rd. However, shortly after the second round pit stops, Shunjan, the prototype, lagged out, so it ended up being between between Muff and Steele. Even if Muff and Steele made some contact, at one point Muff hip checked Steele off the circuit in the bus stop chicane. In the end, Steele had the performance and Steele would take 2nd, so it's back-to-back for the Veloce entrance in the prototype category, as Muff in the Porsche had his best finish for the Porsche prototypes thus far in 3rd. Zoroiliak honestly threw everything at his Porsche GT car that he could not get that car better. I mean, he got a little bit better on pace, but had a series of incidents that caused him to pit 2 more times in the rest of the GT field in the closing minutes, and fell to 2nd to last in GT. The winner in GT, it looked like it was going to be Larry. It took a lot longer because Ducky had a better pit strategy, but Larry did eventually get ahead of Ducky. However, a little bit past the halfway point, Larry lagged out in the GT category, and Ducky had no other competition. So while Ducky lagged out in stint 1, they were able to keep it together and brought home with the win in stint 2. Veloce, who is the other driver in the LMP car that won stint 1, was on track for an easy 3rd place, but underfueled in his final stop and was forced to make an emergency 5th stop with about 4.5 minutes left, fell to a very distant 4th place finish off the back of that. So Nizrama redeeming himself partially for his bad run in stint 1. Now there's one stint 2, and real quickly as we look at the field, I can't really see who is in what car because Forza refuses to load a lot of the paint schemes. I do apologize for that. We'll probably see them once we load onto the circuit though. But now we're just standing by waiting to get underway for the event here. Just waiting right now to get underway for the event proper. It looks like everyone's in the lobby, although Z Rydog 9 has not yet readied up. I assume that's how you're supposed to say that name. Z Rydog 9 has not yet readied up. But once that's done, we should load onto the circuit. And hopefully we don't have to go through 4 or 5 different attempts to load onto the circuit for this. Just staying by as we are now loading onto the circuit. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we won't have to go through a whole lot of loading and reloading screens as we do this. All right, field's getting lined up now. Looks like it will be NWR Shadow at the head of the field, followed by TTJ111. Still waiting on everyone else to get ordered. I'll try to knock out one more ad break before we get into the race, if possible, just so we can go as long in race as possible. Try to play around these ad breaks that are included now that I'm certified on Twitch. It's honestly a little bit of a pain, and I do apologize for the constant interruptions. They're having a lot of trouble getting the field ordered, it seems. I don't know why the heck Sakura isn't moving yet. All right, welcome back to Daytona. Real quickly, a rundown through our grid ordering. On top will be NWR Shadow in the 157. This car won Stint 1, followed by TTJ in the number 21. This car is off of back-to-back Stint second place finishes in the first 2 stints. RV and Twitch in the number 13 will be lining up third. Fourth will be Kai Pro Max. I believe this is the third different driver in 3 stints for that number 69 machine. SFM Darkster is taking over the number 24 Swordfish. Last 2 drivers in this car have not really been able to perform. Maybe he'll be able to turn it around. The highest starting Porsche prototype is going to be CBL Feinu. This car came off of the 3rd in the last stint. Will be looking obviously to try and do at least 1, if not 2 steps better. Then behind them will be AMS Virage. Game. Thank you. AMS Virage. Behind AMS Virage will be Uninanimate. That will be the number 45 from the Apex team. 3rd different driver in that car as well in 3 stints. FTC Sakura, last place Porsche, but hopefully Sakura has some luck and is able to bring this Porsche home to an actual instant result. First place in the GTs will be LMP Veloce in the number 828 machine, followed by Syntheria in the number 156. So Chevy's 1-2 for the start here in Stint 3. Nuke X1617 is in that black and rainbow number 99 BMW. Behind them, LMP Dragon in the number 827 Nissan machine. Then Z Rydog 9 is going to be starting in the 5th position. Oh, it looks like we're starting to roll. Game! Behind Nuke will be LMP Dragon, followed by Rydog, followed by EMC Bravo, who's going to be in the number 420. Rottweilers in the Ferrari is 3rd to last. Momonika is going to be in the Porsche. Finally, a different driver in the Porsche. Maybe someone will have a little bit better luck. And then PGR Lucas is here at the very back of the grid. As we watch NWR Shadow, the leader has gotten a massive jump the last 2 times. Is that going to happen again? Oh, something's gone wrong. Something has gone wrong, apparently. Something has gone wrong. I have no idea what's gone wrong, but something has gone wrong. We waited all that time to get nowhere on this. I apologize for that. And I have a feeling what happened was not because of the game. I have a very strong feeling that what happened is that some people in the midfield were playing start-stop games, and it caused that big backup in the back of the field that damaged a bunch of cars before they even got to the line. That's what it looked like happened to me, at least. I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. That does not... I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like a game mess-up. That looks like drivers were trying to Joseph Newgarden the start. Alright, gonna try this again here, hopefully. Well, seems like my assumptions were slightly right. It looks like the leader messed up, and that caused the stack up that we saw. We do apologize for that. Now I'm stuck in a black screen. I apologize for that. Are we gonna have to wait the entire time to get going again? I really don't want to have to do that if we don't have to, but... Well, it looks like everyone knows their order a lot better, so that should make things a little easier. All right, so everyone's getting lined up again. We're preparing to get underway one more time here. All right, now you can finally actually see the paints for some of the cars here in the back of the grid. As behind Rydog is Bravo in the number 420, then the number 83. Okay, I just realized this car looks like a gigantic menthol advertisement. I'm sorry. It looks like Newport menthols. I know TORA doesn't want you to have tobacco sponsorships on your cars, but this thing looks like it's made for menthols for Newports. I don't think that's the intention, but that's what it reminds me of. And then behind them will be Momonica in the number 90 Porsche GT car, and then PTR Lucas will be riding out the back of the field here. So 5 Nissans in a row, followed by a Porsche prototype, 2 more Nissans, and then the last place Porsche prototype. Then you get 2 Chevrolets in a row for the GT category, followed by a Nissan, Beamer. Yeah. 2 Beamers. Then Nissan, Ferrari, Porsche, and Beamer. So, yeah. All right, and we are underway. All right, as we are preparing to get underway once again here at Daytona, NWR Shadow and apparently made a mistake that caused that big stack up last time. Take 2. The pole sitter has gotten a massive jump on the start the last 2 stints. Are we going to see a repeat of that this time? Coming out of the first infield hairpin, they cross the line. How good of a jump does Shadow get? Oh, that's a fantastic jump. TJ was caught sleeping at a wheel and is immediately under pressure from RV and Trent. And it looks like there's already movement farther back as well. Darkster struggling. He slips down to 6 right away. Tries to get up alongside the Porsche wheel. Thing 2, and now Darkster is going to pull back ahead of Kai Kai Pro. Movement already in the field as Kai Kai Pro is trapped on the outside and now slips back to the 7th position in the prototypes. But meanwhile, in the lead of the prototypes, Shadow's got an absolute gigantic lead that's been the way it's gone for every stint. Whoever is up front gets a gigantic lead right off the bat. Here comes RV and Twitch to the inside of TJ. Neck and neck between 2 Jaguars for the 2nd position. Twitch has the inside, TJ outside. Here comes the Porsche of Venu. Venu tried to make it side by side, could not keep it there. Track just wasn't wide enough. And that brings Darkster right behind. This could be, I hate to say it, this is probably the best start we've seen Darkster have or anyone in that purple Nissan have thus far. Sorry, I say Nissan. That purple Jag thus far. RV and Twitch has gotten by TJ. Side by side, Jaguar versus Porsche heavy down into the braking zone of turn 1. And Twitch completely loses the plot, slides wide and falls back behind TJ. And Finu is going to end up back and forth now. And Kai Pro Max has ended up in the pits. Is there damage on this car? There may have been damage to the car. And that is going to be a horrible start for Kai. Meanwhile, TJ continues to hold on to second. He can see the leader, NWR Shadow, just ahead. But he needs to clear RV and Twitch so he can really start bringing the fight forward. Darkster fading off just a little bit as Finu has right there in fourth. So the top 4 might all be starting to close in on each other here early on. The lead in the GT category is currently Veloce with LMP Dragon right behind. And just like in the prototypes, the GT leader, Veloce, got an absolute gigantic launch. A gigantic launch. Through the bus stop chicane for a second time now. TJ, I think he might have what it takes to catch Shadow. Darkster has gotten back by Finu, but Darkster is trying to make it stick on the outside. It's going to be a drag race to the line. I think Darkster has a setup that's a little bit lower when it comes to overall downforce. He'll slot his car ahead of the Porsche Finu. What is Finu's response going to be? Finu looks high, but there is Sakura right there, ready to make something happen. Well, that's not what I expected to see happen. Virage, I said Sakura, I'm sorry, it was Virage, but Virage nearly goes off, and now we see Finu back into fourth. Just 3 cars trying to go into a spot that's barely big enough for 2 cars. This wasn't going to work. It ended up being the Porsche that ended up being on top in that fight. Meanwhile, at the front of the prototypes, TJ has gotten even closer to Shadow, and Shadow has gone off, coming out of the second infield hairpin. This could be a real tight fight for the win. Well, could be for the win, but for a lead very shortly here. Top 3 have pulled away from Finu just a bit, so Shadow, TJ, and Twitch all on top of each other. In a menage a trois of Jaguar prototypes here. What can TJ do? He looks inside, looks outside, but he stays in the draft for now. Under braking going into the bus stop chicane. No crazy moves from TJ this time, but he is so much faster on the run now, and the leader got tires in the dirt, killed his momentum. TJ looks to the outside. RV and Twitch is there as well. Where is Twitch gonna go? TJ is keeping Twitch boxed in behind Shadow. So they're more side-by-side for second rather than side-by-side for a lead now. But TJ's gotta run. TJ's coming on the outside. How deep does he go into the braking zone? Twitch slides wide. No positions change. But Shadow got that fantastic launch, but does not have the pace to back it up. Both TJ and Twitch are way faster. Twitch lunges to the inside, passes TJ, knocks Shadow offline, and now TJ comes back by to take second back. And while this is going on, there's a just as intense fight going on for fourth in prototypes, but this is honestly where the real action that we care about is going on right now. Holy moly! Out of the second international horse hairpin once again. And now, back on the speedway, turn 1. Oh, Shadow, all sorts of sideways, putting the power down, coming on the speedway, turn 1. TJ is tucked up behind. This could be a great run, but do you really want to risk going side by side to the bus stop chicane? No tail, heavy under the brakes. TJ was faster last time. He's even better off this time. Much better run than he did before. And so does RV and Twitch. But TJ throws it away to get a big toe off the Shadow. And now he left the inside open for Twitch. TJ looked to the outside, but ended up letting Twitch get a run into his inside. Side by side for second. And they're both running down on Shadow once again. Now TJ cuts down in front of Twitch at the last possible moment. Oh no, tail under heavy braking going at turn 1 again. Twitch slides wide again. Twitch seems to be having a lot more trouble than the 2 ahead of him, arresting the slide under braking going into turn 1. No big crazy moves by Twitch going into the first infield hairpin this time, but Shadow was sideways coming out. Now TJ pulls alongside, neck and neck for the king. TJ hits Shadow in the rear, but Shadow does close the door on TJ. Shadow wide, TJ to the inside, side by side for the lead. Now TJ's got the inside, Shadow outside, Twitch is falling off just a little bit. Shadow comes down right back behind TJ, gets a big toe. Is he gonna make the move going into the bus stop chicane? He is! He comes to the inside, neck and neck under braking. TJ lunges with maximum confidence to the bus stop chicane. And now all of a sudden, Shadow is back under threat from Twitch. Shadow holds station, Twitch goes high, Shadow goes low, but Twitch has a better run. Shadow runs a little wide, squeezing Twitch nearly into the outside wall. Side by side, Twitch falls back in line behind Shadow. Twitch outside once again, now falls back in line behind, and these drivers are about to start catching GT traffic in form of Nuke X, I believe. Twitch really sideways in turn one, he just cannot seem to keep that car straight, going under braking for that first turn. And Darkster in fourth is starting to close potentially on this fight for second, but TJ has already broken away a little bit. Fantastic fighting early on here. And that's the last place GT driver. Oh, and that did not go well for Shadow. Shadow was caught off guard while he didn't hit him. Shadow leaves the door open for Twitch, and Twitch is through. And Twitch is through in a big way, although he is a little bit wide coming out the speedway turn one. And now Shadow's got back to his inside. Twitch outside, Shadow inside. Shadow made it side by side with TJ earlier, but TJ took the lead by just being more confident. Is that going to work for Twitch this time? Not likely. Twitch backs out. He does not want to be side by side with Shadow into the bus stop chicane. They set for alternate lines though. Shadow slides wide. Shadow slides incredibly wide into the dirt, and Twitch takes it. And now it's Darkster's turn to work on Shadow, and Darkster passes Shadow. By the time we get to speedway turn three, Darkster is also faster than Twitch. He comes around the outside. Darkster going to go from fourth to second. Gives him a good run in the bus stop alone. Incredible stuff. And this is the best that Swordfish number 24 machine has looked like all day long. Twitch finally gets turn one figured out though, and he'll pull back ahead of Darkster. Darkster's the one that slides wide in turn one this time. Meanwhile, TJ is trying to pull away a little bit. And this group is about to come up on a huge chunk of GT cars in a few laps. Darkster gets to the inside of Twitch, coming into the second infield hairpin. Shadow is still right there, ready to capitalize, but Darkster has it back. Twitch did not get the run out he wanted. Back in the speedway, turn one. Darkster has it. Twitch wants it, and so does Shadow. Right on board with Shadow. As Twitch gets a run built up on Darkster. Is he gonna lunge into the bus stop? No, he does not. Oh, and Shadow hits Twitch and knocks Twitch off track. You saw that here, folks, and here comes the Porsche of NTC Sakura. And the Porsche has such a better run. And Sakura now moves up into third, and the Porsche has not been able to finish his stint thus far. And Twitch is going to be absolutely livid over getting knocked off circuit there by Shadow. Shadow looking to maybe try and figure out a way by Sakura. Won't have to worry about it. Sakura completely botched his turn one. Shadow goes back into third position now. Excuse me. So thus far, both CBL Finu and Unanimate and Kai Pro Max have all had to make pit stops. So the 3 of our 9 prototype drivers have already had to pit for emergency repairs in the first 10 laps of this run. Same thing with GT drivers, EMC Bravo and Nuke X 1617. Shadow holds station over Sakura, but Sakura is there. Sakura has the speed to make stuff happen. Sakura pulls up and blitzes by the subtle reference to tobacco Ferrari and blitzes by Rydog without any issue. Sakura's got a great run building up on NWR Shadow for a 3rd position right now. Shadow slides. Sakura slides as well. But Sakura's most definitely got this car hooked up better than Shadow does. The number 56 Porsche really putting the screws to Shadow, who started on pole but has not had the speed to maintain a top 2 result and might not even be able to maintain a top 3 result. Traffic holds up Sakura just a little bit as the group is fighting through the thick of an incredibly intense GT fight. Oh! And Sakura knocked Shadow into a GT car. Granted, it was in their very slow, heavy braking zone, so it doesn't mix things up too much. Around the outside, Twitch cuts down, trying to break the draft from Sakura. What can Sakura do to fight back? Thought of going side by side in the bus stop, but will not do that. But, oh my goodness, Sakura is so much faster! 3 wide on corner exit! And blitzes Shadow without issue! On the extreme outside 3 wide, Sakura showing us what the Porsche can really do! Shadow gonna try and lunge back in turn 1. Can't! Sakura keeps it together and moves into 3rd. For good, for now. Shadow is still right there, tucked up behind the Porsche, but it seems obvious to me that between this duo, Sakura is the superior driver. Quickly, Sakura goes around the outside of Veloce and uses the GT car as a pick to keep Shadow from being able to hold station with him. Shadow will get by the Corvette without too much issue. Falls back in line behind Sakura. Sliding. Close enough to maybe have a draft, but I don't think he's going to be in a position to make a dive. I think this is over. Right now, it is TJ at the top in prototypes, with 2nd place being SFM Darkser. Also, RV and Twitch and AMS Virage are in a little bit of a fight of their own. Shadow actually closed in on Sakura just a bit coming out of the bus stop chicane that time, but it's just not going to be enough. So some absolute chaos early on in the prototype category. In the GTs, though, anything but. LMP Veloce opens up an early lead, and RV and Twitch pits only about 15 minutes into the run. The LMP Veloce now leading in GT by a massive gap over 2nd place PGR Lucas. So the 2 GT cars that have won stints thus far run 1 and 2 on track. 3rd place in Syntheria. The 156 Chevy, and then LMP Dragon is the highest of the Nissans, and Momonica putting on what's thus far the best showing for the Porsche GT car, running in 5th. this fight right now, or potential fight between Dragon and Momonica, seem to be the most interesting one, especially because between a pair of cars that we've not really focused a lot on in battling circumstances. That number 90 Porsche and that Nissan just ahead. We've not really seen a lot of fighting or anything from these two cars. Now, we do know that the Nissans have had some pace. A Nissan did come home second and probably would have been third even on merit in the last stint, but we've not really seen them in a fight. And Momonica in the Porsche that Zoroliak has just not been able to make anything happen with Dragon sideways coming out of the bus stop chicane, but Momonica, while it's a lot smoother, just does not seem to have the speed on initial acceleration to really take advantage. Sakura and Shadow pretty much on top of each other again, so maybe it's not as cut and dry as we thought. Right on board with Shadow. Look at Sakura ahead. Unit Animate is already making their second stop of the day. The good news is, because everyone's basically required to make 4 stops, you can afford an instant and still maybe drag yourself home to a competitive-esque result. Not a win, obviously, but maybe something like a 4th or a 5th. But having to make 2 stops this early, I can't see any way that doesn't completely derail Unanimate's run to the end of this event. Meanwhile, the top 5 in prototypes have not even started making pit stops yet. This also is almost guaranteed to put Unanimate a lap down to TJ before we're even a quarter of the way through this event, through this stint. Ooh, boy, Sakura with a big slide there coming out of the horseshoe. A little bit farther up, this could get interesting. Darkser is starting to close down on TJ as TJ is being held up by traffic. And not any traffic, that is a Unit Animate who was just pitted for the second time. The good news from TJ is that he can use the draft to open up the gap in a straight line, but he's going to want to get by so that Jag isn't holding him up. And it looks like the Animate has let him by. Horrible, horrible performance thus far for the Apex prototype team today. But TJ has cleared the Animate without too much of an issue. And already in the GT category as well, 4 of our 5 drivers have made their stops. And here comes TJ, your race leader, going to make his stop as well. What about Darkser in second? Darkser now inherits the lead. Sakura will pit out third. Shadow will stay out. Virage will pit. So only Darkser and Shadow have yet to make their first stop. So a lot of drivers making very early stops this time around in this stint. Messy start. Fun, but kind of messy at the head of the prototype field. But right now, it looks like it's going to be TJ versus Darkser for this. The Swordfish number 24 finally showing off some potential that its prior 2 drivers have not been able to capitalize on at all. Real quick, I just want to look at the tire life of Darkser, who did not have a good run the bus stop at all that time. That's not going to help him. 39.9, about 40% on that right rear right now. And then Shadow, who is still out on track, the only prototype who has not, the other prototype who hasn't pitted yet, 40.8. Let's see, how much fuel did Darkser have left? It said 13.8 for Shadow, 42. So Darkser really filled this thing full of fuel early, and Shadow pit. So Darkser is going to stay out on track for a long time. Where is Sakura going to end up in relation to Shadow? As Shadow is making their stop now. Sakura's already made their first stop. Where is this duo going to end up in relation to each other? PGR Lucas currently leads as LMP Veloce has already made their first stop, but Veloce was well ahead of Lucas before stopping. So keep an eye on that. TJ overtakes Shadow without too much issue. Shadow still in pit lane. Here comes Sakura coming out of turn 1. I think Sakura is going to have Shadow's number. There it is. Yep, very, very clearly this fight's in favor of Sakura. AMS Virage has gotten by Kai Pro Max for 5th position at the moment. But we're going to see a lot of really weird strategies probably in the mid to back half of the prototype class, just because so many of them took damage early on. Same thing with GT. So many drivers near the back of GT seem to have taken damage early on. So we can see some really strange pit stop strategies as drivers try to minimize the negative impact of those mandatory early pits after damage. That gap between Lucas and Veloce is honestly pretty wide right now. I'm really curious to see where it's going to end up. So Darkser continues out on track. He now has to navigate around the prototype of Unanimate. When TJ caught Unanimate, he had a little bit of trouble. Darkser is going to have similar amounts of trouble by the looks of it. Boy, does he have trouble. He slides wide. He will complete the overtake on Unanimate, though. So Darkser and TJ, your two contenders for the win, or for the lead right now, in the prototype category, but on two radically different sets of strategies. And NukeX 1617 is making another pit stop already. Our top 3 in GT and our leader in prototypes, they all have yet to make their first stop of the day. And I really wonder what Darkser's strategy is. When is he going to stop? Look at his tire life, 46% on that right rear. Still got some life in that thing. And then Lucas, who is currently leading. This strategy did not go well for this Beamer in Stint 1, but this is what Lucas is committing to, going long in the first tire run of the stint. Then Sinferina, second, going long also. And Momonica up to third, and has not yet made their stop, but they don't have a lot of fuel left, so I imagine they'll be paying a little bit pretty soon here. After we see our leaders in the two main categories make a stop, we'll probably break off into a commercial break then. I don't want to miss any of these drivers pitting, though, just because of how impactful it could end up being. So Shadow hasn't quite fallen into... Oh, and Virage gone off, I think. Yeah, Virage has gone off in turn 1. No damage to the car, but that will let Kai Pro Max sneak by. So Kai, who had an instant early on, has rebounded up to 5th. And now could be trying to run down NWR Shadow for 4th. This car that dominated Stint 1 before the driver ran it out of fuel right before the final stop is on a comeback drive. This number 69 sees me on a comeback drive so many times thus far today. Lucas is making his stop. So where's Lucas going to end up in relation to Veloce? Lucas is that yellow dot on pit lane. Veloce, we're following him. Momonica, who is in 3rd in GT, also will make a stop. I have no doubt in my mind Veloce is going to get by Momonica. But where's Veloce going to be in relation to Lucas? And what about Sinferina? That's the overtake on Momonica for Veloce, and now for Lucas. Lucas coming around. That's TJ, your 2nd place in prototypes, trying to get by as quickly as possible, but there's not really any room. He muscles his way by, and Veloce is ahead of Lucas, not by a lot, but he maintains station over Lucas after pitting early. Monica will fall behind Bravo, and likely will fall behind Dragon as well. Synthorina is the only GT car that has yet to pit, and once they pit, that will likely give the lead back to this man here, LMP Veloce. In prototypes, though, Darkster still has yet to make his first stop of the day. Darkster's head of TORA, well, one of the big names in TORA, pretty much the head of TORA in many senses. Surely he knows he has to make 4 stops, but apparently he thinks that going long for this first run is the way to go. Look at the amount of fuel that this car has in it. 26%. He's in the 52% range on tire life as well. Don't really know what kind of strategy he is on, but he is starting to close in on second place in prototypes, CBL Fenu. Now, granted, Fenu has already made a stop, but still, this is pretty indicative that Darkster is comfortable with pushing the car a long distance. The thing is, he still has to make 4 stops total like everyone else. Again, we're still waiting to see when Synthorina will go ahead and make their first stop of the day. They have not done it yet. Kai Pro pitting out 5th position now. Again, Kai is one of those drivers who had that accident early on, so they're trying an alternate stop to try and drag time back in their favor. So the prototypes category is all kind of spread out quite a bit. 2nd through 6th are all relatively close to each other on track. Not 2nd to 6th, but 2nd to 3rd is kind of close. 3rd and 4th kind of close. 4th and 5th is kind of close. 5th and 6th kind of close. All it takes would be some hiccups and it could really upend how this goes. But Darkster stays out another time as Fenu is now making their 2nd stop. So now Fenu will be the 2nd prototype car to go a lap down in this stint. We're only a little bit past the quarter mark of this race. Synthorina still has yet to make their first stop, as is Darkster. It's odd. So we look at the tire life on Synthorina's machine. 48. There we are. Synthorina's coming in this time. So where's Synthorina going to end up in relation to Veloce? Well, Veloci's already coming through Speedway turns 3 and 4, so it's pretty obvious that Veloci will take the lead back. Lucas is not that far behind Veloci, all things considered, though. And Lucas is on tires that are going to be a little fresher than Veloci. This could get interesting. As that's Twitch who shoots by Veloci there. So yeah, Lucas is already by Synthorina as well, so yeah. Stayed out a long time, but that's not really given him any significant advantage. Is Darkster going to be pitting anytime soon? He has a big gap on TJ. And I wonder if Darkster just feels comfortable with burnt out tires. Thing is, he might feel comfortable with burnt out tires, but it would probably be better for him. Oh, here he is. He's coming into the pits now. All right. So with Darkster pitting now, who's going to be the leader after this set of stops is over? Is it going to be Darkster or TJ? TJ is nowhere close to Darkster right now. TJ's had to deal with a little bit of traffic ills. Darkster's still in pit lane. TJ shoots out of the bus stop chicane, but Darkster is already moving on pits. This might be enough. It may be enough to give Darkster the race lead here. Darkster hasn't yet gotten to turn 1. TJ crosses the line. That gap is dropping and dropping fast. But I think Darkster is going to have it. If he doesn't, he's going to only be behind by a very small amount. You can see Darkster coming out of the pits. Here comes TJ. No, TJ's cleared him. It's not by a large gap, but he has cleared him. And that is Fenu, who will not clear Darkster, though. So Darkster will have clear track to try and run down TJ. Will be on fresher tires as well. And he refilled that car pretty high on fuel. So Darkster really seems to be happy with a very, very fuel-heavy car. what we're going to do is we're going to take an ad break here, but we're also going to go ahead and spin the full lap on board with SFM Darkster, so you can really get an idea as what a flying lap looks like in one of the top 2 prototypes here in Stint 3 for TORA 24 Hours Sea Lobby. Well, welcome back to Daytona as Darkster is trying to run down TJ. Trying to navigate a little bit of traffic right now through turn 1. That is the lap car of CVL Finu, who runs an 8. And while we were away, Unanimate has made their 3rd stop already. And we still have about a full hour left in this event. So Unanimate, I don't know what kind of strategy they're on or if they've just been that unlucky, but things are not looking good for them, and something has happened to Veloce. What has happened to Veloce? Oh, it's not over yet. This is an active fight for position. So Lucas caught Veloce. I didn't think it was going to happen, but Lucas has caught Veloce, and the fight for the GT category lead is on. Veloce coming around the outside of Lucas. The Chevy seem to have a slight advantage in the straight line, and he slides back in line ahead. Completes the overtake before they get into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Veloce rotates the car without too much issue and immediately pulls away. So whatever it was that let Lucas catch Veloce, seems like it's not mattered. Veloce does have the lead back for now. But Lucas is there, and there we are. Lucas had a much better run out of the slower corner there in the hairpin, and Lucas completes the overtake on Veloce by the time they get to the kink into the second infield hairpin now. Mind you, between these two, Veloce pitted earlier than Lucas, so Veloce may be dealing a bit with tire fall off. Lucas has actually opened up the gap just a little bit. I do think that Chevy has a better straight line speed advantage, but is it going to be enough to let him get a good draft and try another run going to turn 1? Through the bus stop chicane once more. Lucas did not have a good run through there at all. Veloce did. This could be interesting. He's in the draft, closing down with speed. Does he go high? Will Lucas give him a chance to go low? He's going high. Veloce around the outside of Lucas. Neck and neck at the line. Veloce with the nose. Under braking, he slides a lot more offline, and Lucas will take the lead back, and TJ is making his second stop out of the lead. Darkstar will re-inherit the lead then off of this. Lucas wide in the second infield hairpin, but that wider line seems to work well. He's able to put the power down, too much issue. Veloce tucked up behind the BMW. Nothing yet. Not able to commit. Veloce got the nose on the inside of Lucas, but just could not keep it there. Nose to tail into the bus stop. Lucas, oh, Veloce is sideways. Nearly hit the back of the BMW. I'm just kind of sitting quietly watching it in awe at this. These two cars are very strong in two completely different areas, and they both kind of coincide with their peak strengths and weaknesses overall at the very end of the lap, lap after lap after lap. That is Nuke X1617 ahead of them that this duo might put a lap down before they make a stop. This time Veloci did not get alongside Lucas going into turn one, and it shows. The BMW, it's not perfect, but that BMW is having a much, much better run coming out of these corners. Twitch is going to pit out of the 5th position, so I'll likely drop them behind TJ. I think Veloce may be losing it just a bit. Whatever it was that let Lucas catch him, I think it's just falling more and more away. And my guess, it might be tire life. But also, Veloce is going to be pitting sooner rather than later, it looks like. Whilst Lucas still plenty good on remaining fuel, although he is putting his tires through the ringer. But it looks like this fight for lead in GT is just about come to an end, as there goes your prototype leader, SFM Darkstar, are on the outside of your GT leader, PGR Lucas. And Veloce comes into the pits now, so yes, that fight is officially over. So now we look at Darkstar. Darkstar went really long on stint 1. Still has a lot of fuel in the tank, 17% tire life. Second place, NWR Shadow. As we see, Sakura has already made their second stop. Shadow, who also went long, 20.6% left in the tank, 35% on the tire life. And Virage is pitted as well, and Shadow is off, coming out of turn 1. Now cycles up into third without too much issue. But bad news for TJ, he's going to have a little bit of track blocking to deal with. Not intentional, but the GT drivers here, Cinderina and Momonica, are legitimately fighting with each other for position. He needs to figure out a way by and fast. Well, that's by one of them fast. How aggressive does he go? Nice. That is some confidence. Might not have been the fastest way, but that was a confident way. And sometimes being confident and committing early is the more important thing than sliding around and waiting. So Darkstar is your leader. NWR Shadow is second there. The only two prototype drivers who have yet made their second stop. PGR Lucas is leading in GT, and Cinderina is second with Momonica third in the GT category. So we're going to spin a lap on board with Lucas here. Take a quick commercial break. We'll see what a lap is like on board this BMW. But Lucas continues to stretch it out right now over the rest of the field. Veloce has already made their second stop, but Lucas leads at the moment, and that's TJ third overall in prototypes. We are still waiting on first and second, Darkster and Shadow, to make their second stops of the day. Just watching, I'm waiting to see these drivers here to finally make their second stop. I would imagine Shadow will probably do a little faster than Darkster. Yeah, he's running kind of low on fuel. But Darkster is really hard to tell because Darkster, as we see Cinturina and Momonica in second and third in GT making their stop. But Darkster is running a very, very high fuel load. So it makes it a lot harder to tell when he is or isn't going to choose to make his stops. I'm guessing that Darkster is going to instead choose to double or triple up on his stops near the very end of the stint, compared to TJ, who seems to be splitting his stops very evenly throughout the entire event. And there's Shadow paying out first. So with that in mind, let's see what that means they'll end up in relation to Sakura and Viraj. Sakura and Shadow spent a good deal of time fighting amongst each other earlier, but Sakura got the better of them. Sakura trying to bring a different Porsche home to a potential top 3 result. Oh, sideways out of the bus stop though there. I think Shadow's still going to hold over Sakura though. Sakura's not even gotten to the start-finish line yet, and Shadow is already rounding turn 1. So yeah, it looks like Shadow will hold station in third, as Sakura just has not been able to keep up with Shadow as the race goes on. And fighting, when it came to proper knives-out fighting, Sakura seemed to have Shadow's number, but once they spread out and it came down to pace, it looks like Shadow barely has this advantage over Sakura. So despite not having the greatest start to the event, Shadow does look like he's stabilizing in about third position right now. Still waiting to see when Darkster is going to make his first stop. Went long on stint 1. Looks like he's going long on stint 2 as well. Granted, this strategy worked out fantastically for our stint 2 winner. This going really long. Some drivers just seem to be fine with going super long on the stints. Lucas, your leader in GT, still has yet to make his second stop of the day as well. And again, Veloce is the man that he has to fight with. The gap between Lucas and Veloce is pretty big, and I feel like this is an inversion of what we saw in Stint 2, where the Chevy was faster, even though it was going out longer. It was faster overall, so gradually went down. This time it seems like an inverse. All right, so Lucas now making his stop So now we look. Is Veloce going to be able to catch Lucas? Turn 4, but you already see that Lucas is about to enter turn 1 here. I think Veloce might have Lucas's number, but it's going to be close. They're going to be just about right on top of each other as long as Veloce doesn't botch this corner here. And that is traffic ahead. That is 18th place, Nuke X1617. And there you are. It looks like Lucas will hold station over Veloce. And will just barely come out ahead of Nuke X1617 as well. Union Anime is making his 4th stop. We've not even completed the first hour of the event, so Union Anime has been having an absolutely atrocious run today. So Veloce now trapped behind the BMW that he does not want to be dealing with, lapped car, and Lucas now has pitted. A huge fuel tank as well. I wonder if Lucas has put enough in the tank to just run him to the end of this race. And when he pits next, he'll just change tires, so that way his pit stop is a little shorter. Be a bold strategy, Patton. Let's see if it plays out. That's Finu. Prototype that Porsche prototype that had been performing well in the first 2 stints has just not had any sort of luck today. And once again, we look at SFM Darkster, who still has yet to make his 2nd stop. I have no doubt that Darkster will get all 4 stops in, but whatever strategy he's on, it's a really bizarre one. I have no doubt he'll have a nice, short final stint in the pits, probably, considering he puts in so much fuel. I would not be surprised at all if on his final stop all he does is just change tires. Looks like Viraj has gotten by Sakura. So a little bit of movement further up. Sakura damaged the car. No, it doesn't look like it. Viraj is just outright caught and gone by. I also have Twitch, who is in 6th, and Twitch was looking very aggressive early on. But after getting knocked off track by Shadow, Twitch's pace seems to have completely evaporated. He's not really been anywhere close to seriously contending for a top 5 position since. So Shadow, Viraj, and Sakura all are relatively close to being on top of each other here. Oh! Wow, Sakura just runs right into the back of Viraj there in the 2nd infield hairpin. They are coming up on last place in prototype. Union Animate right now. Oh, and they're off! They're off! Sakura's up! Well, you saw it there. Sakura seems to be struggling more than a little bit with that car. And we'll lose a huge chunk to Viraj, and that probably has something to do with the reason why Sakura has slipped out of 4th and down to 5th. So again, I don't think the Porsches are really that good. I feel like in the balancing, something may have been done wrong. The Jaguars seem to be faster than the Porsche drivers. I've seen Sakura before. I know Sakura is one of the better drivers in TORA. Just seeing them struggling like that really makes me think that the problem is with the Porsche and its setup. We continue to wait to see when SFM Darkster is going to make their 2nd stop of the day. That is Kai Pro, who's already made their 3rd stop. And mind you, Kai is one of the drivers who had an instant very early on in the race. So he's had to jump onto a radically alternate strategy to try and salvage his run. But Darkster's about to put him a lap down. Now, I think it's kind of hard to tell. I think Darkster is faster than TJ. But the thing is that Darkster's on such a radically different strategy than TJ. It's really kind of hard to tell where the two of them actually are on pace. Darkster clears out traffic, no issue, almost doing the exact same thing we saw TJ do earlier through there. Kai holds top spot, well, not top spot, but holds station over Darkster. I'm sure Darkster's not too upset as long as Kai is giving him a nice tow down these straights, but he's gonna want Kai to get out of the way by the time they get under heavy braking, like here in the bus stop. Ooh, boy, you can tell that Darkster's being held up by Kai pretty bad there. Kai holds the outside line, gives Darkster the inside. He's gonna hold him up for too much longer. But then Darkster immediately has to deal with more traffic. But he'll catch the GT traffic in a straight line. The prototypes are so much better off in a straight line. Wait, there are 3 prototypes? I've only seen Jaguars and Porsches. What is the third prototype that's running? Because we don't have a third prototype in this category at all. CBL Finu and the Porsche is making their third stop of the day now. While Darkster still has yet to make his second. There's one Nissan GTP that qualified last indeed. Yeah, if you have a car that absolutely no one shows up in, or the only person that shows up in is dead last, I would feel that that suggests that there's something wrong with that car. Irregardless. So yeah, it's really just Porsche versus Nissan, and not Nissan, I'm sorry, Porsche versus Jaguar, and Jaguar has a gigantic advantage, it seems. Well, in the GT category, Lucas continues to hold a small lead over. Look, if TJ is making his third stop already, and Darkster still has not made his second stop. Again, I have no doubt in my mind that Darkster is faster than TJ, but he's on such a radically weird pit stop strategy. I don't know how this is gonna work out. He's gonna bleed off so much time when he could be under. I do wonder if Darkster might be running all this extra fuel in the car because he feels confident with extra weight in the back of the car to stabilize the rear end. I legitimately wonder if that might be the thing. I wonder if that was what the strategy was for other drivers earlier as well. I wonder if it's just people want more weight in the rear of the car to give it some stability. So what they're doing is they're running really, really, really high fuel loads to go stupid far and run stupid far with a more stable rear end, and that might be where it's coming from. It makes sense to me. I've not done that in prototypes, but early on, I helped to host the MX-5 Cup Series in the first 2 months of this game's life, and I absolutely noticed that it was better when I had an MX-5 car that had all the fuel in it. Even though the lap times were slower, I felt a lot more stable, so I wonder if that's what we're seeing here. Luke is the only GT car a lap down, but in prototypes, 7th, 8th, and 9th are all a lap down, but most of that is just because Darkster has really stretched out the gap on the rest of the field, absolutely blitzed everyone else. I think pace has something to do with it, but really it seems to have more to do with the fact that he's just not pitted. And something has happened. We are having a fight now for second. Shadow versus Virage. Virage's entry hasn't been the fastest throughout most of the day, while Shadow's has been up front and actually won Stint 1. This is a legitimate fight on track now. Oh my goodness, Shadow, what? That's not a line. Veloce now making their third stop, so Lucas will open up their gap over them now. Shadow's got Virages in the draft. Oh, and Virage is making their third stop of the day now. Well, we know Shadow's been going on fuel a lot thus far, so it's not surprising, but again, nothing compared to what Darkster is doing. And Twitch is making their stop, and is Sakura. Again, Darkster has yet to make stops 2, 3, and 4. And TJ now cycles back into third position. TJ's made it very, very simple what his strategy is. He's cutting this race into even fourths, or even fifths. 4 pit stops means you have 5 fuel runs or 5 tire runs. So, and Darkster finally making his stop. So Darkster finally makes his second stop of the day. Still one behind TJ, who has been honestly the closest thing he's had to competition. And once Darkster comes out, I do want to check what their fuel number is at, how much they refilled the car. Only to 50%. So now they start short filling the car, because earlier they had like 89, 90% in the car. So now Darkster's starting to short fill the car. The good news is that there's less weight, so ideally you'll be faster in the corners. But if Darkster's speed came from having extra weight over the rear suspension, that might change now. The other thing as well is that Darkster's had no problem going a long distance on tires. When Darkster makes his next stop, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't change tires. He may stay on the same tires and just throw in some fuel. NWR Shadow now pits out of second position. So this means that TJ will now move back into second overall. I think Darkster has TJ's number. Even if they're the same pace, Darkster might be waging on having shorter pit stops. Meanwhile, in GT, we continue to wait to see when PGR Lucas will make his third stop of the day, as his closest rival is still Veloce. We'll take a quick ad break and come back, hopefully to catch our GT leader make his next stop. Oh, Darkster... What? They did nothing. Alright. Huh. Well, welcome back to Daytona. SFM Darkser has already made his third stop. Literally was only out for one lap, pitted, did not change tires, did not refuel, and immediately went back onto the track. Maintains a gap over TJ. Not a massive gap, but still has a gap over TJ right now, though. So now TJ and Darkser are even on pit stops. TJ will likely make his next stop a little sooner than Darkser does. But right now, Darkser just needs to navigate traffic. Big problem, well, not big problem, but a small potential problem for Darkser is that he does have two prototype cars that are fighting between each other for position, running just ahead of him. And that duo is Unanimate and RVN Twitch. Now, there is a little bit of engine damage in Unanimate's car. Twitch, I'm sorry, that's not Twitch, it is Finu, who is also ahead of Darkser. I apologize. Finu does not have engine damage. Shadow in fourth is going to be the first of our lead top 5 in prototypes to make their final stop. About 30 minutes left in the session. He tucks up behind Unanimate. Finu's got to run. Should have enough speed to catch and overtake that I almost said Aston. The Jag, the Apex Team Jag, but it just does not seem to be the case. Even with a damaged engine, Unanimate is keeping Finu behind. And that is the leader, Darkser, who's about to catch both of them. Darkser obviously would hope that they both move out of his way quickly, but they are legitimately fighting with each other for position. This could be interesting. And TJ's not terribly far behind Darkser right now as well. If Darkser spends too much time being held up by this duo, we could have a fight for the prototype lead here. About 29 minutes left in the session. Not quite nose to tail. Finu takes a wider run out onto Speedway Turn 1. He's got the draft. Should be able to make this happen. Should be able to pull alongside. But I wonder if Finu has been dealing with stability issues and just really packed on the downforce to help with stability. This is not fast in a straight line at all, and now Darkser's caught them. Darkser goes around the outside. Finu holds station over Darkser, but again, Finu's not trying to stay ahead of Darkser. Finu's trying to do something to Unanimate. Darkser gets by to the inside of Unanimate. Nissan slides wide. The Porsche's there, but can't do anything. Are we sure this Porsche isn't damaged? No, there's no damage to the Porsche. It just can't do anything. Just does not have the speed. The Apex prototype is damaged. Someone asked what EMC Bravo is looking like on fuel real quickly, and here's your idea. 55%. Might be a little bit close on fuel to the end with 27 minutes left in the stint, but we'll see how that turns out. I'm sorry I didn't see that question earlier. As we continue to focus on this fight for 8th and 9th. Also, Lucas also has yet to make his last 2 stops as well. So Finu just can't do anything to Unanimate. I am wondering, though, what is Unanimate's fuel looking like? Will he be good on fuel to the end? No, he's going to have to pit very shortly here. Well, that kind of solidifies that. All the bad luck that Unanimate has had is going to require him to make a 5th pit stop in today's event. And it's coming now by the looks of it. And so is Lucas's stop. So Lucas making their stop, and Veloce now will move up closer to Lucas once again. But will it be enough to get him to lead? I'm going to be honest, I don't think so. Veloce has been fast, but has not been able to match Lucas. In fact, Veloce had the lead over Lucas earlier, but as time has gone on, Lucas has just been his better on pace. They fought, and just Lucas naturally outdrove Veloce on track. Sakura, your highest ranked prototypes the Porsche prototypes right now. Again, Porsche not having a great time of it. Sakura was very, very punchy and fighty early on. Absolutely has that driver's instinct to really go out and fight, or the racer's instinct, yes, to go out and fight, but pace has not been there for Sakura today. Gonna knock out one of the ads now, so that way we can carry you green to the end of this stint here. Gap between Lucas and Veloce has just gradually opened up as this event has gone on. Monica runs in 12th, but behind is EMC Bravo. The big thing with Bravo, we're not 100% sure how Bravo's fuel numbers are right now. I think he'll make it, but there is a possibility he'll run out. But I think Bravo will make it. Tire life, I'm not too worried about tire life either, honestly. Nuke, who is last, is he gonna have to make an extra stop, actually? Nah, he'll be fine, as long as it doesn't end up in an instant. Rottweilers, Ferrari trying to not finish last. Gonna have to pit soon, but again, does have legitimately another stop to make. Rydog. Rydog will probably just pit for splash and go, or just tire heat and go. Synthorina, I'm not so sure Synthorina's gonna make it to the end though. Chevy burns a good chunk of fuel. Well, Synthorina might not make it to the end. One of the, I think, 4 different GT drivers who took damage early on and had to pit very early in the stint, and Synthorina might not have the fuel to make it to the end, with about 23 minutes left in the session. LMP Dragon, who is in 3rd, has yet to make their final stop. Probably will just be another splash and go. There are a lot of drivers who got screwed over in early incidents that has really kind of derailed their runs. Meanwhile, at the front, it is TJ versus Darkser. TJ trying to run Darkser down. They both have 1 stop left. TJ probably will be coming in this lap. Darkser, I imagine will try and stay out as long, well, doesn't have a lot of fuel left, so Darkser, yeah, TJ comes in now with 22 minutes left. Darkser has fuel to stay out for quite some time. And when Darkser pits, Is he going to change tires? I think he'll have to strongly consider changing tires. He's underfueled the car, took a lot, well, not really underfueled, he's accurately fueled the car, but he didn't go and put in 90% of the fuel tank like he did in the earlier stints. Kai Pro is also paying him 4th right now. So that'll be Kai's final pit stop as well. And WR Shadow's already made what should be his final stop. So we'll be interested to see if Shadow can even make it to the end. Shadow's had some a messy run thus far today, to say at least. Has hit quite a few drivers and cars. He has the fuel. His tires will be hurting, but he has the fuel to make it to the end. So Virage, now in 2nd. We know Virage will have to pit, and when they do, they'll fall behind TJ, but Virage has had a respectable run today. All right, so everyone has about a little less than 11 minutes left to make their next pit stop. Virage had been fighting pretty aggressively with Shadow earlier in the event. I'm kind of wondering if the two of them will end up crossing paths again. All right, Twitch and Sakura now paying out 4th and 5th position together. That'll be the other fight to watch for 4th. Might be a fight for the podium between the two, but I'm not so sure. Because Kai is going to be in that fray as well. Number 69, Nice Machine, had an incident early on, has just been trying to outdrive that and drag themselves back up the grid. They're not the only one. A lot of drivers have had issues. 4 different GT drivers and 4 different prototype drivers have had accidents in the first 10 to 12 minutes of this stint, which really kind of upended how strategies and battles have played out. So a lot of faster drivers are trying to drive really alternate strategies to claw their way back up the grid. So Kai ended up well ahead of both RV and Twitch and FTC Sakura. Sakura runs behind Twitch at the moment. CBL Finu still has yet to make their final stop. And then obviously, like I said, Virage and Darkstar have yet to make their final stops. And the gap between Darkstar and TJ on track is gigantic. Unless Darkstar has an incident, I think he's got this thing won. 8.2% in the fuel tank, so he can probably run this lap and one more. Also, once more, I just want to check these drivers further back. Synthorina, we have a little bit less than 19 minutes left, and Synthorina has to make 40% left in the fuel tank work. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And then Bravo, who is in a similar scenario, a little less than 40%, 38.6% left. I'm not saying it won't happen. I think it could work. I think it's possible. But it's going to be rough for them. Bravo right now is in position to end up maybe gaining position over Momonica if he can make it on fuel to the end, as no one in the top 3 in the GT category has made their final stop yet. Lucas, what is their fuel and tire looking like? Well, he's got engine damage. That's not good. Lucas with engine damage. And Veloce just made their final stop. Damage on his car? No damage, no. So I imagine it will be a quick refuel, change the tires. Not a big refuel, to say the least. But Lucas with engine damage. This is not good. Lucas is going to want to make this final stop sooner rather than later, just to negate this engine damage. It's not going to be horrible in the infield. You won't really feel it there, but when he's on the straights, he will definitely feel the engine damage. So suddenly we may have a fight. I'm not saying it absolutely will happen, but we may have a fight for the GT win here in Stint 3. Veloce maintains second, as they are well ahead of Momonica who has yet to make their final stop as well. Everyone except CBL Finu and SFM Darkster have made their final required stops and prototypes. Darkster has really been a fan of going as long as possible on his stints, but this will be it. We know Darkster is going to be paying this lap. So where is TJ going to end up in relation to Darkster? I'm going to be honest, it's not looking good for TJ. I don't really think TJ's done anything wrong, although the engine damage isn't helping. I think the big problem is that when it comes to overall pace, Darkster has had it, and I wonder if a lot of that may have come off the back of Darkster running extra fuel in the back of the car to keep the rear end stable so he could really push aggressively. Yeah, TJ's just now gotten to the bus stop while Darkster is already on the run down to turn 1 in pit lane, so that fight is already pretty much over. The other fight worth watching, though, is for Lucas, who with all this engine, it's not a lot of engine damage, but it's still engine damage, and he's already not the fastest straight line, and now he's going to be even slower, and he's not yet made his final stop. He's got about a little less than 16 minutes to make this final stop, while Veloce, who already has made his final stop, can absolutely go ham. Monica now pits out 12th, so this will move Bravo up into 13th, which will be 3rd overall in the GT category. But again, fuel numbers are kind of iffy for both Bravo and a little bit farther down the grid, Synthorina. These drivers made all their stops early because they had to get on an alternate strategy to make it to the end. 15 minutes left in the stage, or in the stint. You have 5 minutes left to make your final stops. Finu, the last prototype to make his final required stop. Really, we're just waiting on Lucas now. How much longer does Lucas stay out? Stay out for another lap if he wanted to, honestly. And that's exactly what Lucas does. He's going to stay out for one more lap. As Darkster, your prototype category leader, blitzes by. Well, while it won't be a stint win for TJ, that'll be they're on track to get 3 second places in a row. While those stint winners have not really been able to put together 3 great stints. So that team of TJ Steele, and I believe TJ runs the next stint, then followed by Tactical Fallout. That team is in a decent position for overall distance, but I'm sure they would love to win a stint. Again, though, this is my real interest. Lucas with engine damage continues to slug around on the circuit with all this engine damage. When, oh when, is he going to make his final stop? He probably will want to pit this time by. He might be able to go 1 lap extra, but I think this is going to be when he's going to want to pit. Because he'll get there with about 12% left. Not 12%, 12 minutes left. 12 minutes and some change left. Again, Lucas could bang out 1 more lap if he chooses. But with that engine damage and the fact that the car he has to fight for this win is someone who's been faster in a straight line than him, I feel like Lucas has to consider pitting now. Is this it? No, he stays out 1 more lap. He is going to make this last stop at the last possible moment. To be fair, the gap between Lucas and Veloce is pretty big, and Unanimate making their 6th stop. It's been a disastrous run for that Apex prototype. That's Finu, who's tried to get by Lucas, having some trouble. Did he just go off? He did. Finu goes off after trying to get by Lucas. And the sad thing is, even with going off like that, Finu is still not going to be last just because Nyanimate is having such an unbearably bad time. Shadow seems to have slipped to 6th. Sakura stabilized in 5th. Kai is in 4th and not that far behind AMS Virage. If Virage has any incidents, Kai has a chance to maybe catch up. Virage is running a very, very large fuel load, and I have to wonder if Virage is another one of those drivers who are running really big fuel loads, going for some trying to just get some stability in that car. Darkster is your leader in prototypes. Your leader in GTs is Lucas, as he has finally made his stop at the last possible moment. Veloce trying to close in. Prototype splits by him without too much issue here. Lucas also, I imagine, will get that engine damage repaired, and that won't massively lengthen, but will slightly lengthen the amount of time you have to be in the box. But still, Veloce still in Speedway turn 4. Lucas hasn't yet gotten to turn 1. All right, now Lucas is in turn 1. Coming out. Veloce across the start-finish line. I think Veloce has closed the gap, but not by very much. Lucas is almost out of pit lane. Yeah, Veloce closed, but not by anything really, truly meaningful here. So it looks like Lucas has this in the bag. Oh, Lucas still has the engine damage. What? Maybe Veloce's hopes aren't gone. No, I don't think they're going to have to deal with prototypes to the end. But Lucas apparently still has engine damage. I just don't know if Veloce is going to have the pace to get it. I don't know. They have 9 minutes left. I can see both of them on the track at the same time, but that gap is big, and while it's closing, it's not closing enough. I think Lucas has this. So with 8.5, well, not quite 8.5 minutes left, look, our third place driver, EMC Bravo, does he have the fuel to make it? 21%. I think he'll make it. It'll be close, but I think he'll make it. And then Synthorina, who is currently 5th, is in a similar scenario, in a similar car, with slightly more fuel. I think Synthorina is going to make it. Bravo might be in a little bit more iffy scenario, but I think they can make it on fuel. I don't know what happened to Rottweilers, but this Ferrari has been completely uncompetitive. Fight for podium is really more of a stalking battle. Kai sees Virage up ahead, trying to run him down. This car finished 4th in Stint 1, probably end up being realistically 3rd after penalties are applied, but this car only got 4th in Stint 1 after dominating, not finished in Stint 2, trying to rebound here in Stint 3. 7 minutes and 15 seconds left. also go ahead and say that once this is over, as much as I'd like to talk with both of our stint winners, because we are ranked so far behind, I'm going to send. I'm not even gonna try and stick around and wait for invites for interviews. Once this is over, I'm going to immediately start shutting down the stream once I've shown you where everyone is on track, and then close the stream so we can get set up for the next stint, because we are running so far behind here in this lobby. Barrage struggling with traffic, and so is Kai Kai. Yeah, that wasn't a whole lot faster, was it? He's trying. Credit where credit is due. He is pushing. But I don't think he's going to catch them. Just a bit more than 5.5 minutes left. Real quickly, I'll look at this scenario in the GT category. Velocity's not really closed by a whole lot. I think this fight for GT win is over. It's really just going to come down to, does third and fifth have enough fuel to make it to the end? It's going to be close. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Oh, Momonica and Sarinthia are actually legitimately fighting for a position. Huh. I had not realized that. Momonica has a lot more fuel than Cinturina right now. But this is a legitimate fight for 4th and 5th in the GT category. Sakura dive. That was a pretty confident dive to the inside. Good job. Four and a half minutes left. Momonica crossing back over. It's a delayed crossover, a crossover on the run back down to the hairpin. Momonica in the Porsche gets the initial acceleration and pulls back ahead. Cinturina falls back in line behind as they go now through the kink into the second infield hairpin. Cinturina on the extreme outside, and I think Cinturina kind of lost the plot there just a bit. They're on top. This duo is on top of each other as well. Kai Kai, Virage, fighting for third. Oh, and Lucas, no! Lucas, your stint leader! No! And with less than 4 minutes left, Lucas drops out! With less than 4 minutes in the stint! And now Veloce automatically goes to the lead! And the LMP team will now win 2 of the first 3 stints in the GT category. But oh my goodness, it wasn't engine damage that took him out. It wasn't a bad pit strategy. This time Lucas derailed by just not making it with less than 4 minutes to go. And mind you, that was only the first DC that we've had in this third stint. And suddenly, Bravo is in second, but might lose that if he doesn't have enough fuel to make it to the end. We check the fuel on Bravo's machine one more time. 10%. I think he'll make it. It's gonna be close. The other thing to consider, though, is that Bravo does have a pretty big gap over Momonica, so I think they'll come home second for good, even if they run out. Might be a little bit more iffy for Cinturina. No, I'm sorry, that's Momonica. I need to look at Cinturina. 10.6% with 2 minutes left. Well, surely they aren't going to lose up 5% of their fuel in a minute, right? Surely not. Two minutes left. Kai Kai looking at the outside of Viraj. Viraj holds inside. Kai Kai slides. What? Oh my goodness, is that a wide slide? Just can't do anything with it if you're carrying that much speed in. Funny, because that's the same thing that we saw Kai Kai struggling with earlier. Big lunge! Hits Viraj from behind! In the bus, not the bus stop, in the hairpin. But Viraj puts the power down and pulls away. This fight looks like it's going to go to the end. Same thing with the fight that is for now third between Sintarina and Momonica. That is Veloce, who has inherited the lead in the GT category. Kai Kai's got a big run. Is this going to be the move? Goes to the inside of Viraj. Side by side, backs out of it. Can't go side by side into the bus stop like that. Not at that angle. With less than a minute left. This could be Kai Kai's last real shot at this position. Nose to tail. Now Kai Kai goes to the outside again. Viraj holds the inside line. Oh. Tried that move last time and didn't go off as far. That's over. It's over for third. What about fuel? With 10 seconds left, Bravo will make it on fuel. And your winner in the prototype category, as the clock runs down, is going to be this man here, SFM Darkster, on a bizarro-ass pit strategy, will bring home the win. Second place will be TJ. 3 straight second places for this entry. Then AMS Viraj will come home in third. Kai Kai will come home in fourth. Fifth will be FTC Sakura. Sixth will be NWR Shadow. Seventh will be RVN Twitch. Eighth will be CB Elfinu. Ninth, last in the prototypes, will be Apex's entry Unanimate. Then you get to the GT category, and Veloce inherits the lead after Lucas drops out in the last 5 minutes. Bravo comes home second. Sintarina in third. Fourth will be Momonica. Fifth will be, everyone's dropping out now. It's literally as soon as they get the information. But anyways, then it will be Dragon, Nukes, Rydogs, and Rottweilers. So with that in mind, we're going to start wrapping up the broadcast here for the this stint, and have to start getting ready to go to Stint 4 right away. I apologize for that, no interviews, but thanks for joining us, and we will be back in a few minutes' time.